This is Mark Gunn, and you're listening to TiVo and the Beard.
Welcome to another episode of TiVo and the Beard. You can't see this, but I'm flying solo again today. This is the Beard here. TiVo, as you may have read on an Instagram post, was in a bit of a car accident. He's physically okay and all that, a little shaken up, and a little shook. And his car is, a lot worse for wear. And so he wasn't able to make it into headquarters today to record this, but he will be on our special episode that we have coming up with a review on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie and on Iron Fist. So you can look forward to hearing him again on both of those. But in this episode, it will be just me. Before I start, though, I just wanted to give a little shout out to all of our listeners, both the new ones and our veteran listeners. We're going on, it'll be a year in July 4th last year is when we started, and we've been just on YouTube. Eventually we are going to be on things like iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, stuff like that. We're still working some things out. We do this as a free service, I guess you could say, a free entertainment service for you guys. We don't ask for any money, anything like that. But I do occasionally have people asking how they can support us. And of course, the biggest way is to, listen to us, give us a little thumbs up, or a little comment or something here on YouTube. But also follow us on social media. We have a Facebook account, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and those can all be found at their respective sites /andthebeard. And you'll see it'll say TiVo and the Beard once you get on there. And you can hit like, share stuff, share it with your friends, family, share it with your enemies, especially if you don't like us. Share it with your enemies, let us bug them for a while. So we have, for those who maybe this is your first episode somehow, I just want to tell you a little bit about what we do. Normally it's two of us on the show, me and TiVo. And we talk about mostly comic book shows. We talk about Flash, Supergirl, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to be talking about iZombie when that comes back on April 4th. And, just stuff that we enjoy talking about. We also have the occasional special episode where we'll talk about a movie or maybe a Netflix show or something like that. If you go back far enough in our episodes from season 1, you'll see some of the most random conversations about Pokemon Go and this, that, and the other. Which we'll probably have during this summer coming also, because once our shows take their summer break, we don't have too much to talk about. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear us talk about, though, feel free to send us a message on one of those social media platforms, or just leave a comment in YouTube here and let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about. Remember, we are a family-friendly show, so there are things that TiVo and I both watch in our off time that you won't hear us talk about on here. And not to say that it's bad per se. I'm just going to dig myself into a hole. This is what happens when the Beard gets left on his own. So without further ado, I'm going to start the normal show talking about the Flash and Supergirl, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'm back. So this past week's episode of Supergirl was called Star-Crossed, and it's where we find out that the Daxamites want their son back. They want Mon-El back, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to get him, even blow Supergirl out of the sky if so be it. We find out, well, I shouldn't say we find out, but the characters find out that Mon-El is the Prince of Daxam, which we've all assumed. TiVo and I have discussed it on a couple episodes, and we were kind of wondering, why is he keeping this a secret from Kara? Why doesn't he just come out and tell her what could possibly go wrong with admitting that you're the Prince of Daxam? And we find out what exactly could happen. So, his parents find him because of a signal that he sent back in his first episode. And they know that Daxam, they can make Daxam great again. Let me just go ahead and throw that out there. They went Supergirl has, ever since it's moved to the CW, it has thrown off the gloves. It goes straight for the punch, on each thing. So it talks about, immigration. It talks about the LGBT community. It talks about all sorts of things. And normally, though, it keeps it right under, maybe a very thin mask over it. Not like X-Men and stuff like that. It has like that very thick mask over it where, sure, they're talking about the same sort of topics, but it's within the realm of mutants, so it doesn't really affect us. You can take what you want out of that. With Supergirl, they are saying, no, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about it in America. Sure, it's in National City or Central City or whatever DC show, whatever, wherever they are in the DC TV universe. But we are saying stuff that is happening now, stuff that the viewers can relate to. This time, though, they go straight for the jugular and say, "Make Daxam great again." I think that's going to be the cover for this episode right here, because that's what Mon-El's parents want. They want to make Daxam what they think is great again, which, yeah, does involve slavery and racism and all that other stuff that, we don't get political on this show, so I won't say it sounds familiar, but it kind of sounds familiar. So Kara finds out that Mon-El's been lying to him, and she does not take this well. And I like how one reason I still like Mon-El is because he is an alien on Earth, and he is still an alien. So when him and Kara start fighting, he comes back later and he's like, "All right, this is the part in the movie where the couple would get back together." And that's exactly what I was thinking. But no, Kara doesn't take it that way. I think Kara kind of overreacted to finding out that he was the prince, because this doesn't change anything about him. He just wants to be a better person. He wants to get away from all of that hatred and stuff that he had on Daxam. He wants to start over as just regular guy Mon-El. And I can respect that. Sure, it also helps that I like Chris Wood as an actor. I like really what he's done with the character, so I'm a bit biased. I'm sure TeeVo would agree with me if he was here. I may even ask him about it in a future episode. But, Kara does her, famous overreacting thing. And then what's even better to me, is she goes to Alex for a relationship advice. If I was to go to anybody on the Supergirl show for relationship advice, it would not be Alex or Maggie, since they break up every other episode. So, yeah, that happens. She goes to her for advice. She does give Kara some pretty good advice, though. Probably some advice that she should take herself sometimes. And while all this is going on, we have Wynn, who has his little date with his alien girlfriend, Lyra. They go into they break into an art museum because she says that she wants to, do some art. Let's just say. We try to keep it family friendly here. She wants to Netflix and chill in the museum. And Wynn, because he loves his new girlfriend here, he says, "Sure, let's break into this museum." Come to find out, she is the type of alien that cannot be photographed or videoed, so she has been, playing some of these guys and stealing art so that she can get her brother back, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I will butcher it, even though they say it multiple times on the show. I keep wanting to call him Bastille, and I know that's not right. So let's call him Bass. So Bass has a debt to these mobster alien guys. Lyra wants to help him pay it off, so she's stealing art. And Wynn gets the DEO involved in all this, and they get the sting operation, and there's more lying back and forth. This one, though, goes more into the rom-com sort of genre, where Wynn goes, "Okay, you've been lying to me, but I really like you, so yeah, let's do this. You lied to me, I got you back by lying to you, by getting the DEO involved in this." So, in the end, they make up. Everything's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So Mon-El and Kara, though, have still not made up by the end of the show, and I'm thinking, watching this, okay, this is going to be one of those things where, they keep putting Kara in these relationships that aren't going to work out, kind of like early seasons of The Flash with Barry, or even with Snow in The Flash. So they're going to keep putting her in these relationships that aren't going to work out, and eventually, as viewers, we're going to get sick and tired of this. And maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't, because we find out that Kara has another alien fan. And at the end of the Supergirl episode, they bring in this new alien who is shackled, hypnotizes Kara. It takes a little chip from her where he can escape into Earth 1. And the last thing we see in Supergirl is Kara is a lounge singer. And it's just like this nice dream sequence hallucination thing, and it just fades off and it says continued in the Flash. And I like that they did it this way. It's a two-parter sort of thing, but it's not done in the way like we've complained about with Attack on Gorilla City, Attack on Central City, the Invasion story, stuff like that, where we were expecting this. We knew that Kara was going to be in the Flash. We didn't really know that they were going to have that, the crossover was literally going to cross over one to the other. And they wait until the very end to do that. And so, just like they did, we're going to cross right over into the Flash here, where we see Henshaw and Mon-El are on Earth 1. They've got Kara, who has been hypnotized by the Music Meister, and they go, okay, you guys can help take care of this. So they hook her up to all these machines, and the Music Meister's there. He puts Barry in the same sort of coma, so they end up in this shared dream sequence together. And now, this episode was called Duet. It was promoted as the musical episode of The Flash. And as a fan of musical theater, I want to go ahead and kind of complain about this. I don't know if TeeVo had a complaint with this or not, but I was expecting more of a musical episode, a la Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of thing, where their musical episode, One More Time with Feeling, was a musical episode. Other shows who have done musical episodes, they have more than like 6 songs, like 5.5 songs. And I know it's only 45 minutes, but and it was still fun, because when the times where they did slip into the musical genre, it was very much the musical genre. They had this whole dance number towards the beginning there inside the shared dream, where the Music Meister is telling them what they need to do, and how they need to go about things, and everybody's singing. Kara keeps mentioning not Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and keeps making references to following the Yellow Brick Road, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there, and it does kind of do that, because everybody shows up for this. We have the Legends of Tomorrow are in here, Flash characters are in here. Technically, Cisco and Wynn do meet, finally, but not in the way we've been wanting them to meet, because we know they're going to be great friends. Wynn even mentions that in the Supergirl episode, so I thought we were going to get to actually see the two of them team up, do a buddy science nerd-off thing, but they sing together, so that I guess is good enough. So we find out that within the dream sequence is all about Kara and Barry learning their lessons, learning what they need to do when it comes to love, because the Music Meister reveals that is all he is about teaching lessons, and about making sure that they know what love really means. So Barry and Kara are going after who they presume are Iris and Mon-El. Of course, they're not in this. They're their own characters within the musical, and they are in love in the musical, Mon-El and Iris's characters. And Barry and Kara have to see this, and they have to, help these two lovebirds, even though they're looking at the two people they love themselves. So they do this in, the strictly musical way. They have the two families, very West Side Story, Romeo and Juliet, whichever cliche you want to go with, where one family owns the nightclub, the other family, works for the mafia. I mean the cops or whatever. So they have these two opposing viewpoints, and they both, they don't want their children to be together. One little joke I like this in there. Well, not joke. One little like I said, Supergirl really takes off the gloves and talks about things like immigration, LGBT community, things like that. The Flash hasn't really done that, but they do in this one because we find out that Iris has two dads, and it's Joe and Gray from Legends of Tomorrow. Joe from the Flash, of course, and I like that little punch that they put in there because it was that you know she says dads, and Barry's like, dads? And Joe says, you have a problem with that? And it was just that very nice thing to see. I love seeing Joe sing because people who have followed the actor's career know he's from Rent and things like that, so he knows musicals. It was fun seeing all these people sing. I really wish that the lip syncing would have been a little bit better with Barry because it did sound like they were. I mean, I know they were playing over. They weren't singing it live. But with Barry, for some reason, it came across a little more obvious. So all the hilarity slash seriousness ensues. A war almost breaks out within the Dream universe, and Barry and Kara both get shot. And of course, without their powers, they are as good as dead. Thankfully, Cisco is on the other side, and he vibes Mon-El and Iris, the real ones, into the dream world. And Barry and Kara have to admit their loves for both of them, and they are woken up with a kiss back in Star Labs. Because when you have Kara on your show, there has to be smiles and puppy dogs somewhere in there. So we have to have that nice, good ending. The Music Meister leaves. He's done his job. He brought love back to Earth 1, and so he gets to leave. Kara and her team returns back to their Earth, and Barry and Iris move back together. Barry reproposes to Iris, and she accepts, and everybody lives happily ever after. And this is exactly the way I expected it to end. Like I said, I wish there would have been more music in the musical episode, or at least more references to things besides Hamilton and Wizard of Oz. I know those are two big musicals that everybody can relate to, and maybe there's stuff that I didn't catch. I've never been like a Pippin fan or anything like that, so maybe there are things in there that the real musical aficionados are going to get, and they're going to crucify me over. But I just want a little bit more from it. I did like the Super Friends song, and that was written by Rachel Bloom, who is the woman who created the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which is a musical show, who also really doesn't use songs as much as I would like, but that's a different thing altogether. So, and then, so that was the end of that, and that was the end of our two-part, quote-unquote, two-part Supergirl Flash episodes. I'm sure we're going to get more of that because Wynn has created this little thing that helps them travel from one Earth to the other. In the next episode of The Flash, we get Abracadabra, who is a character I've enjoyed in the DC Comics before. I never really thought about him as like a major character, though, so we'll see how that plays out. And then in Supergirl, we're going to get another Kevin Smith episode called Distant Sun. So we'll see. I don't really have any preconceived notions for either one of these episodes. Both of them were enjoyable, but The Flash was definitely more of a filler episode, which is what I predicted, but it wasn't filler in the, filler. Well, I mean, let me take that back. Yeah, it was filler episode. It's one of those where if you missed it, you really haven't missed much. It had some good songs, it had a good script, good story, all that. The only thing that may confuse you if you miss it is watching the next episode of both shows that both love interests are back together. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Hopefully, everybody listening has enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and share and recommend us to your friends, neighbors, mailmen, enemies, teachers, whatever you got. Recommend us to them. And we'll see you for the special episode that we have coming up. And assuming we can have that as long as TeeVo has wheels. We'll have a special episode this week. And if not, we will see you next week. Later.